We'll start off with the Punch newspaper this morning. Don't forget you're part of the conversation for the newspapers. The numbers, of course, to call will be displayed on your screen. But just in case you haven't saved it on your phone, it's 0906-202-9933. Now the Punch newspaper. Let's see what it has for us this morning. 19 oil block licenses to expire this year. 12 PPLs, 7 OPLs affected as tenure dates near. NUPRC mulls extensions for some expiring oil concessions. Expiry schedule cuts across onshore and offshore oil licenses. Details of all of that on page 19. Well, what's the tea about these 19 oil block licenses? They're about to expire in year 2026. You could see the picture of the Eid al-Malud. Tinubu governors can preach peace and tolerance, and pictures of Muslim faithful during the Eid al-Malud celebration in Agege, Lagos yesterday. And we have just below that, state's IGR soars 34% despite economic hardship. Well, did you hear that? State's internally generated revenue soars 34% despite economic hardship. I mean, it just appears the only thing that is not on the rise is, the money in the pocket of Nigerians and perhaps how affordable some of the commodities in the market are. But when you talk about the allocation to states is increasing, the internally generated revenue, it's also increasing. Well, sadly, there's economic hardship. You want more details? Is on page 20 of the Punch newspaper. Police bust Ogun baby factory, rescue pregnant women and children. Beside that one, there's drug lords' assets must be seized. That's coming from Marwa, the Director General of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency. Let's take a look at the top strip. Tinubu, others, reconstruction of Benin bypass and others. Governors spend 512 billion naira on travels and offices. And we also have Dolly Parton, U.S. lowers flags for 1 week. That tells you that, a legend has gone home. Right. Trump moves to revoke nearly 200,000 asylum seekers' visas. That one is on page 14. Trump moves to revoke nearly 200,000 asylum seekers' visas. Well, you know Trump, you know POTUS, you know his stands on immigration and subjects such as asylum. Well, there you have it on the Punch newspaper this morning. What are your thoughts?
Let's take a look at the major stories on the front page. Federal government hastens police reform to douse self-help plot in communities. That's the major story you'll find on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. South Africa, 65 Nigerians to return today by private sponsorship. More Nigerians still making it home after all of the evacuation that the federal government has also done. But then we also have private sponsorship having about 65 Nigerians to return home today. Manufacturers count cost. Begin adjustment to sachet alcohol ban. NAFDAC is not backing down anytime. Is enforcing more and more and putting more pressure on the withdrawal of that. Osibanjo, Falano, advocate citizen-centered pro-democracy reforms in judiciary. Anxiety over attacks on Ogun State Local Council, motor parks as parties trade blame. I think it's high time there's peace. We're done with the elections, but Ogun seems to not go away with the news of violence here and there. We do hope that the authorities will get in. There's a new CP in town now, so we hope that will help. Benin-Asaba gridlock. Umahi accuses contractor of incompetence. The picture of David Umahi is beside the story. A lot of backlash and comments as regards to that, to say that you're shifting blames to contractors. If the due diligence of monitoring what the job was done, I'm pretty sure we'll not be here. The road has been bad for year in, year out. This is not the first time it's happened. It's been flagged before. It's been spoken about before. Why are we here? It's gotten worse and worse and worse. But then he's accusing contractors of incompetence. That's another story on the Guardian now. Obi Atiku challenged Tinubu on proxy campaigns, presidential debates. NDLEA haps on asset forfeiture to discourage crime. Tinubu, Jonathan, Deary, Dixon, Abba unite on merit, integrity in public service. And we have Zenith Bank leads shift to value-added non-oil export. The main picture you find on the front page of the Guardian, you have the president, Ahmed Tinubu, the chief of staff, Femi Gbajabiamila. We have the IG of police, Disu, and of course we have the third man right there, Akpabir, Goswila Akpabir, as well, on the front page of the Guardian newspaper as well. But any of these stories interest you, let us know your thoughts quickly.
We moved to Vanguard. Just right after the Vanguard, we'll open up the phone line. Highways of Horror is the big story on the Vanguard this morning. Motorists will spend 4 days on Benin-Asaba Road. Recount ordeal, federal government to review concessioned roads, apologizes to Nigerians. It's also part of what the Minister of Works, David Umahi, did yesterday. He offered some apology apart from the blame that is also pushing to the contractors. He's apologized for what Nigerians have had to go through for the past 4 days or so in that particular section of the road. And in fact, if you take a closer look, you'd see pictures of failed sections of the road, which triggered severe traffic congestion, leaving motorists and commuters stranded for days. It appears these are some of the spots that is causing all of the wahala, if I may use that word. And you could see literally a car that is buried in the mud. It's halfway gone into the failed section. And you could see a long line of trailers and other vehicles that have now come to a standstill because of that particular issue. 2027 presidency, ACF and PANDEF, MBF demand scrutiny of candidate history. Background checks raise moral issues, but law remains supreme. That's coming from Afenifere. Idel Malud. Tinubu and governors, CAN, PDP, others preach peace and unity. Drug war. Buba Marwa seeks global action to seize traffickers' wealth. U.S. plans revocation of 200,000 visas of asylum seekers. Nigeria fights to save 1.4 trillion naira agro exports. We're 80% ready. That's coming from exporters. Federal government struggles with its role. And just at the top strip, we have crude imports by domestic refineries jump 151.5% in July. That's coming from the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Agency, the NMDPRA. Dollar pattern, U.S. country music legend dies at 80. Well, 2027, why coalition failed to pick single presidential candidate? That's coming from Rotimi Amechi. And, well, those are some of the headlines we have there. Let's take a look at the New Telegraph, see if there's perhaps stories that were not captured on the other papers. And, in fact, we have one of them, which says, Tinubu others rescue of Niger mass abduction victims. Says perpetrators won't go scot-free. Please confirm 1 killed, 3 injured as man opens fire on wedding ceremony. Interpol arrests 58 Black Axe members and West African Crime Network suspects. Identifies 263 suspects across 22 countries. U.S. deepens security cooperation with Nigeria. Trains troops in Bauchi. Just in case you're asking the status of that partnership with the U.S., there you have it. U.S. deepens security cooperation with Nigeria. Trains troops in Bauchi. Politicians laundering looted funds through cow business. That's from Very Dark Man. We have a picture of the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, his wife, Patience Jonathan, author of the 2 books titled Beyond the Mandate, during the public presentation of the book in Abuja. And just below the masthead of the New Telegraph, you find a couple of other interesting headlines. Tinubu can't force us to cede Benue land to pastoralists. That's coming from the governor, Hyacinth Alia, calls for community action against insecurity and illegal mining. Benin-Asaba expressway concessionaire lacks technical know-how for project, coming from the Works Minister Umahi. Grant Nnamdi Kanu presidential amnesty. Oluo begs the federal government. And of course, we have 2027. APC has enough achievements to campaign. That's coming from Akpabio, the Senate president, as party reopens electronic membership registration ahead of polls. Don't use surrogates to campaign. Obi tells Tinubu, fuel subsidy. I won't return import subsidy regime. That's coming from Atiku. And, well, interestingly, Marian, there's been a lot of back and forth on this subsidy issue. But now we understand Atiku has come out to clarify some of what was said, you know, by his aide during a television interview. And, well...
I mean, he says and maintains his stance on returning to subsidy when, if he's voted in as a president. He says that he disowned the comments, you know, by his media aide, Paul Ibe, who was on television, you know, to say that, yes, fuel subsidy will be there, but we'll gradually also phase out the intervention after the economy recovers. It means that, yes, we'll restore it, but we'll also take it out later on. But now Atiku said Ibe was not speaking on his authority, that stressing that his own position was to restore subsidy when he becomes, and if he becomes president of the country, meaning that, you know, we spoke about this and said when your aides or your spokesperson come out to talk, say something, right, would also hold you accountable because they are speaking for you. But now Atiku has said, no, he wasn't speaking for me. I'm maintaining my order to say subsidy will be returned. I mean, he says that the country is rich enough to provide relief for its citizens. So he believes that subsidy is a, you know, sort of relief, you know, for Nigerians. And then, before we wrap up quickly, police uncover Ogun baby factory, rescue pregnant women and children. Now, the operative of Mowe Division of the Ogun State Police Command, through an intelligence-led operation, have now dismantled an illegal baby factory syndicate at Expire village, Mowe. And of course, the operation resulted in the rescue of 2 heavily pregnant women and 4 children, as well as the arrest of 6 suspects as well. I mean, that's a good one. And finally, we have the federal government hastening police reform, you know, to douse self-help plots in communities. I mean, this came as the federal government yesterday announced the appointment of Professor Emmanuel Olukemi Rotimi of Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, to the Policy Advisory Committee of the Presidential Working Group on the National Policing Bill. Those are the stories that you'll find on the front page of the papers we've read out to you this morning. We're wrapping up this morning, of course, with Mr. and Mrs. I guess Mr.
Well, they tried to give me the name Billy yesterday, but I dodged the bills. I reminded them that my name... Well, let's see what Mr. is talking about today. I thought it was a foreign dish when I saw Manihot Esculenta and Abemoscus Esculentus on the menu card.
And what was it?
Eba and okra soup. It costs 26,000 naira per plate. Mrs. has now... I am being robbed.
What did you call the meal again? Manihot Esculenta
and Abemoscus Esculentus. Well, if you remember your biology, that's actually the botanical name for cassava and okra. But this is a good
26,000 naira for a plate of okra and eba. Well, what a sumptuous meal. Mister, you're Billy now. You're equal to pay the bill.
No, please, next time, just write eba and okra soup on the menu. Don't forget about this Manihot and Esculentus. It's such a good way to end it on the newspaper review this morning. Thank you so much for being a part of it.